chosen one. Listen closely. Heaven has paused everything around you for this very moment. The stillness you've been walking through was never emptiness. It was divine orchestration. You thought God forgot you, but He was quietly rearranging the landscape of your destiny. You were never abandoned. You were being prepared in silence. Every unanswered prayer, every delay, every door that refused to open, none of it was rejection. It was positioning. There were days when you looked at others rising while you waited, wondering why heaven seemed mute. You whispered into the night, "Lord, have you left me behind?" But the truth is, your waiting season was sacred. God was building something in you that could not be rushed. You were not being punished, you were being purified. Delay was not denial, it was divine protection. You see, purpose is too heavy for the unready. If God gave you the promise too soon, it would have crushed you instead of crowned you. The waiting was not wasted time, it was womb time. The seed of destiny was germinating beneath the soil of silence. While you were frustrated, heaven was working behind the curtain, scripting an entrance that only perfect timing could reveal. The enemy tried to convince you that the pause meant failure, but he underestimated your endurance. You didn't break in the waiting, you grew stronger. You didn't lose faith in the delay, you found depth. Every moment you stayed faithful when nothing made sense became a declaration that you are not ordinary, you are chosen. Chosen one. This silence was heaven's classroom. You were being taught patience, trust, and spiritual maturity, the traits of kings and queens in the kingdom. You've been prepared not just to receive blessings, but to carry them without breaking. This pause was training your spirit to walk by faith and not by sight. You've cried over the time that seemed lost. You've questioned your worth because others seemed to pass you by. But what you call delay, heaven calls design. Every step back was setting you up for divine alignment. What looked like a pause was actually a reset. The stage lights had to dim before your spotlight moment could shine. Listen carefully. Your preparation season was not a punishment. It was proof that you're trusted with more. God only delays the ones He plans to accelerate. He only hides the ones He plans to reveal in glory. And He only silences the ones whose voices are meant to thunder when the time comes. You are one of those voices. So don't curse the waiting. Don't resent the pause. You're standing at the edge of divine unveiling. Heaven is about to reveal why the delay was necessary. You're about to see that what you called late was actually on time. As the ancient prophet wrote in the sacred book of Isaiah, chapter 40, verse 31, "Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar like eagles." These words are not merely comfort, they are your confirmation. Your strength is being renewed even now. The wings that once felt clipped are growing again. You are about to soar higher than the season that tried to hold you down. Now, lift your head. The delay did not destroy you, it developed you. What was meant to discourage you became the soil of your divine resilience. You are stronger because of what didn't happen. You are wiser because of what you had to wait for. And soon, you will realize that the very thing you thought was withholding your breakthrough was the thing shaping you for it. The heavens have been watching your endurance. Chosen one, every tear, every whispered prayer, every lonely night became evidence that your faith could withstand silence. The angels recorded your steadfastness. And now the scroll of your waiting is about to be unsealed with glory. When God finally moves, He will not simply restore what you lost, He will multiply it. The blessings that come after long waiting carry double portion power. Your next season will not resemble your last, it will overflow, vindicating every moment you felt forgotten. If you can feel this truth stirring within you, then this message is your confirmation. Heaven is aligning every delayed promise, every postponed dream, every unanswered prayer, and soon they will all converge in one divine moment. The wait will make sense. Before you go, take a prophetic act of faith. Type in the comments 999, I wait in faith. Then, like, share, and subscribe so that this message can reach other chosen ones who are still waiting in the shadows, unaware that their delay is divine. Your season of silence is about to turn into a season of sound. You will testify soon. You remember the doors that refused to open. You knocked, prayed, and fasted, but heaven seemed motionless. Every opportunity you pursued dissolved into thin air. You questioned your discernment, wondering if you misheard God. But chosen one, heaven was not ignoring you, it was rerouting you. The doors that shut were never yours to begin with. They were detours disguised as disappointments. You see, when God allows certain paths to close, it's not punishment, it's preservation. Had those doors opened, you might have walked into places that could not sustain your anointing. Some doors would have celebrated your gift, but assassinated your peace. Others would have honored your talent, but drained your soul. God saw what you couldn't. His silence was not rejection, it was redirection. The closed doors were divine checkpoints. They tested your obedience more than your ambition. Heaven wanted to see if you'd keep trusting even when your expectations collapsed. And you did. You kept believing, even when every yes turned into a not yet. That's why this next door won't just open, it will swing wide with divine confirmation. Chosen one, you must understand this. Not every opportunity is an assignment. Some chances look golden, but are laced with distraction. You prayed for promotion, but God withheld it because it wasn't aligned with your eternal design. You wanted elevation, but He was shaping your foundation. He was anchoring your spirit before expanding your platform. Every no protected your destiny. Every rejection refined your clarity. You weren't being denied, you were being distinguished. Heaven needed to separate you from imitation blessings so that you could recognize the authentic when it arrived. The closed doors taught you discernment, and that discernment will preserve you when you step into what's next. Look back for a moment. Can you see it now? The opportunities you cried over would have led to chaos. The relationships that ended were actually divine exits. What left your life had to leave so that what's meant for you could find space to arrive. God was pruning your environment for purity, cutting away every counterfeit that threatened your calling. You were never forgotten, you were filtered. Heaven filtered your connections, filtered your desires, filtered your access. What felt like delay was heaven ensuring that only destiny could reach you. This is how divine strategy operates. It removes good things to prepare you for the God thing. Remember, closed doors are not insults from heaven, they are indicators of divine intimacy. God trusts you enough to disappoint you temporarily for your eternal safety. He loves you too deeply to let you settle. That's why He blocked that path, withheld that approval, and dismantled that plan. You were praying for progress, but He was preparing your promise. The weight of this truth settles over your spirit now. You finally understand that God's no carries as much love as His yes, You see that the pauses were promises in disguise. And just when you thought you'd been overlooked, heaven was orchestrating a perfect unveiling that required patience, not panic. As the apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, chapter 2, verse 9, no eye has seen, no ear has heard what God has prepared for those who love him. This is not a poetic exaggeration, it's a prophetic statement. What's coming will make every closed door worthwhile. Chosen one. There's a rhythm to God's timing that human clocks can't measure. He doesn't rush what he values. Your preparation is evidence of his protection. While you were mourning what didn't open, heaven was building something that couldn't fail. You are not behind. You are in process. Soon, you will walk through a door that doesn't just fit. You were fashioned for it. It won't require striving, manipulation, or compromise. It will recognize your spirit before your presence enters the room. You won't have to force it because grace will already be waiting there. So, breathe. Stop trying to resurrect doors that were never assigned to your name. Release the need to understand every delay. Rest in the assurance that what's for you will not require you to beg for access. Heaven doesn't lose track of its chosen ones. When the time is right, the same God who closed every false door will open the real one with divine precision. And when it happens, it will be undeniable. The lock will click effortlessly, and the passage will feel familiar as if your spirit always knew it would be there. The waiting wasn't wasted. Every no brought you closer to the right yes. Every unanswered prayer was a whisper of protection, and every delay was God saving you from premature exposure. You weren't waiting on a door to open, you were waiting to become the person who could walk through it without losing yourself. Hold your peace. Heaven is still moving behind the scenes. The closed doors of your past are about to make sense in the light of your future. You remember the seasons of hiding, when life felt like a long hallway with no open door in sight. You kept showing up, praying, serving, waiting, but no spotlight turned toward you. You began to wonder if God had forgotten the script of your life. Yet, chosen one, what you didn't realize is that obscurity was not abandonment, it was your hidden training ground. While others ran to platforms, you were being rooted in purpose. Heaven tucked you away, not to punish you, but to prepare you. The wilderness was your classroom, and the silence was your teacher. You learned endurance there. You learned obedience when no one was watching. You learned to worship without applause, to trust without evidence, and to serve without recognition. Every quiet day was molding your spirit into steel. When no one affirmed you, heaven applauded your faithfulness. When no one saw you, angels took note. When no one clapped for your growth, God whispered, "Keep going." You were in spiritual boot camp, being trained for battles you could not yet see. The wilderness is where warriors are born. You can't be crowned in public until you've been proven in private. Every David has a field before a throne. Every Esther has hidden seasons before the royal unveiling. Every chosen vessel must first survive anonymity. You were never being ignored, you were being incubated. It's in the unseen seasons that your identity solidifies. When you're stripped of validation, you learn who you are apart from performance. When you lose your audience, you find your authenticity. Heaven uses hiddenness to purify motives, to ensure you seek God's presence, not people's praise. That's why your name wasn't called yet. You were being shaped into a vessel that could hold divine glory without cracking. Chosen one. Obscurity was your sacred protection. Fame without formation leads to downfall, but waiting builds wisdom. God hid you because exposure too early would have been dangerous. The spotlight you prayed for would have revealed you before you were ready. So, instead of elevation, heaven gave you excavation, digging deep into your soul, removing pride, fear, and doubt, until what remained was pure gold. You might not realize it, but those hidden years are the reason you will last when others fade. You have depth because you've suffered. You have weight because you've waited. You have authority because you've been through fire and didn't lose your faith. That's what makes you dangerous to darkness, the fact that you can still worship after being forgotten. The world may overlook you, but God doesn't measure worth by visibility. He measures by endurance. He doesn't need you to be seen. He needs you to be solid. That's why He's been working on your roots before revealing your fruit. The deeper the root, the higher the rise. As the Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 17, verse 8, they will be like a tree planted by the water that sends out its roots by the stream. It does not fear when heat comes. Its leaves are always green. You are that tree, hidden, rooted, yet unshakable. You've been planted, not buried. There's a difference. Burial leads to death, but planting leads to resurrection. Your hiddenness is almost over. You will emerge, not as the same person who entered that quiet season, but as one refined by fire and purified by time. You will carry a calm authority that doesn't need to prove itself. The same people who overlooked you will one day seek your wisdom, because authenticity has a fragrance that can't be faked. Chosen one. Hear this clearly. Your delay in visibility was divine strategy. Heaven was preparing your voice to pierce darkness, not entertain crowds. You are being raised for impact, not applause. The next stage you stand on will not be about ego, it will be about assignment. So, instead of resenting the silence, thank God for it. Every moment in the shadows was sharpening your discernment. Every lonely prayer built spiritual muscle. You were learning the rhythm of heaven, the sound of obedience, the texture of real faith. When the curtain finally opens, you'll understand that what you thought was a hidden season was actually your holy rehearsal. You were learning to recognize God's whisper before handling His wonders. And when He finally brings you out, you'll walk with grace, not arrogance, with peace, not performance. Now, chosen one, if this message stirs something deep within your spirit, if you can feel that your hidden season has been holy all along, leave your mark below. Type, I am ready. Write it as a declaration, not for me, but for heaven to witness. Because when you say, I am ready, you're not rushing the process, you're agreeing with it. You're telling God, whatever you built in private, I now carry with honor, and heaven will echo back. It's time. You have been tested, tried, and trained. The hidden years were heaven's investment. And now, your unveiling draws near. Stay grounded. Stay humble. Stay faithful. What's been growing underground is about to break the surface. And when it does, it will shake nations. You begin to see now that the things God withheld from you were never acts of cruelty, but strategies of protection. Heaven's restraint was mercy in disguise. Every time you reached for something that glittered, and God said no. He was shielding you from a counterfeit disguised as gold. The Father saw the trap behind the temptation, the storm hidden behind the shine, and He intervened. You prayed for certain people to stay, but they had to go. You asked for opportunities that would have led to destruction. You thought the job, the relationship, the platform, or the dream slipping away meant you failed. But heaven was pulling you out of danger. God was blocking access to things that looked promising but carried poison in their core. Chosen one, there is a love so deep it will disappoint your desires to preserve your destiny. That's the love that has been guiding your life. Heaven's no is often more loving than its yes. The Father has seen attacks that you never knew were aimed your way. When He said, "Not now," it wasn't rejection, it was redirection. You wanted open doors, He wanted open eyes. He allowed you to face delay so you could learn discernment. Some blessings come wrapped in deception. Some invitations are distractions dressed as opportunities. God's strategic withholding kept you from being celebrated in places that would have secretly sabotaged your calling. You might not have recognized it then, but every withheld blessing was a shield. Heaven's silence was a fortress. You were frustrated because you couldn't see the battle behind the scenes. Angels were diverting what looked like blessings, but carried spiritual ambushes. God saw what your emotions couldn't. He withheld what your spirit wasn't yet ready to handle. This is the beauty of divine protection. It often masquerades as disappointment. When God removes something from your reach, it is not loss, it is preservation. There were moments you thought, if only I had that opportunity, I would be further by now. But no, if you had that opportunity, it might have destroyed the foundation God was building in you. As Jesus Himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 33, "But seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." The order matters. When you learn to seek the kingdom first, God can safely add everything else. The delay was teaching you alignment, making sure you wanted the giver more than the gift. Chosen one, what you thought was withheld was simply being reserved. God has not forgotten what He promised. He's preparing the conditions for your promise to survive. There's a difference between something being denied and something being delayed for safety. The Father never withholds without purpose. If He removed people, it's because their loyalty couldn't sustain your next level. If He closed opportunities, it's because they didn't carry your name in heaven's design. If He silenced your path, it's because He was speaking in a language deeper than words. You were being hidden from premature exposure because your anointing is costly and your calling is fragile until it matures. Sometimes the most merciful thing God can do is not answer. Silence is His way of saving you from signing contracts, entering rooms, or forming alliances that could abort your destiny. You must understand that divine protection often feels like divine rejection until revelation comes. Every delay is a detail in the architecture of your purpose. Heaven's blueprints don't bend for impatience. When God says, "Wait," He's not being cruel, He's being careful. He's synchronizing everything, ensuring that what arrives fits your maturity, not your mood. So, breathe. Stop asking, "Why didn't it happen?" and start thanking Him that it didn't happen too soon. The blessing that comes before its time becomes a burden, but the blessing that arrives in season flows effortlessly. It doesn't strain your spirit or fracture your focus. Chosen one, your path is not late, it is layered. God's delays are divine sequencing. The right people, opportunities, and timing are all being arranged like stars before dawn. The night before breakthrough always feels longest, but dawn is inevitable. You are stepping into the realization that heaven's withholding was never punishment, it was promotion in progress. The Father loves you too much to hand you glory without grounding. He'd rather see you mature slowly than rise quickly and fall. Now, when you look back at what didn't work, you'll no longer mourn it, you'll bless it, because you'll see it for what it truly was, divine mercy dressed as disappointment. Every blocked path was a blessing disguised. Every silence was a safeguard. Every withheld yes was an unseen rescue. Chosen one, heaven never wastes a delay. The restraint you endured was the reason you're still standing. And soon, when the real door opens, you will walk through it, not as the same person who begged for the last one, but as someone wiser, stronger, and fully aligned with divine timing. There were nights when you cried because nothing seemed to move. You did everything right, prayed, fasted, believed, yet heaven seemed to stand still. But now the veil is lifting, and the truth is being revealed. Your delay was never empty. It was a battleground. Behind your waiting, unseen wars were being fought in the spirit realm. Angels were dispatched. Heaven was contending for you. Chosen one, your prayers were never ignored. They were intercepted by warfare. Like Daniel in the ancient scrolls, your answer was sent on the first day you prayed. But opposition rose in the heavens to block it. What you mistook for divine silence was actually divine combat. Heaven was pushing through resistance so that your blessing would arrive without contamination. Every tear you shed became a weapon in that unseen war. Every still I trust, you became a sword in the hands of angels. While you felt weak, heaven saw a warrior. You weren't waiting in vain. You were standing in the middle of an invisible battle between light and darkness. You must understand, chosen one, that delays are often signs of heavy angelic activity. When breakthrough carries great weight, resistance intensifies. The greater your destiny, the stronger the opposition. But know this, the delay did not mean defeat. It meant heaven was preparing a perfect victory. There are blessings too powerful to be delivered casually. They must be escorted through spiritual warfare. That's why your prayers seemed unanswered, because the delivery required heavenly reinforcements. God was ensuring that when the promise arrives, it's pure, protected, and permanent. You may have felt drained, wondering, why do I have to fight so hard just to see progress? It's because you're not just fighting for yourself. You're breaking generational barriers. You're contending for those who will come after you. You are the first in your line to stand this tall in faith. That's why the pressure has been relentless. It's generational warfare disguised as personal struggle. As was spoken in the sacred texts of old, in the book of Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." That truth explains why your battle has felt so deep. It's never been only about you, chosen one. While you were on your knees, heaven was standing at attention. Every prayer released ripples through eternity. You were strengthening your spiritual army with every declaration of faith. The enemy hoped you'd give up during the delay, but you didn't. And that endurance shifted the balance in the heavens. You've survived storms designed to silence you, and that means your victory is guaranteed. The delay built depth. You now carry the authority of one who has fought unseen battles and lived to tell the story. When you speak now, your words carry weight because they were forged in warfare. Your faith has been proven. Your anointing has been tempered by resistance. Heaven can now trust you with greater influence because you've learned to stand even when you can't see. You've been trained to hear God even in the noise of chaos. You've learned that silence is not absence and delay is not denial. Now, the winds are shifting. The warfare that once surrounded you is breaking. The angels that fought for you are now clearing the path before you. What once resisted, you will now yield to your authority. And as you stand at this turning point, remember this: what God births through struggle cannot be stolen through ease. You have paid a price for the oil on your life. You've walked through valleys that most could not endure. And now, heaven prepares to pour out the reward for your endurance. Beloved, if these words resonate deep in your spirit, if you can feel that this unseen battle has not been for nothing, then let this be your moment of gratitude. Just as farmers sow seed with tears before harvest, this is the time to water what's coming. When you like, share, or subscribe, you're not just clicking buttons, you're helping spread the light that once reached you in your darkest hour. You're allowing this message to find another weary soul still standing in delay, wondering if heaven hears them. And if your heart feels led, consider planting a seed, a donation that becomes like a drop of water on the soil of hope. Every offering, no matter how small, fuels the creation of more messages that remind people they are not forgotten. You're not giving to a platform, you're participating in the movement of heaven's encouragement. Think of it like this: each gift is a candle. Alone, it glows softly, but together they blaze bright enough to pierce global darkness. By sharing, subscribing, or supporting, you're helping carry that light farther than you could imagine. You're turning your testimony into someone else's turning point. You've endured hidden battles and silent wars. Now you're standing on the threshold of revelation. The delay is breaking, and the answer is in motion. Soon, what was invisible will become undeniable. Hold your peace. Chosen one, heaven is delivering what's yours clean, whole, and perfectly timed. The heat of your waiting season was not random, it was refinement. You wondered why the pressure kept increasing even when you stayed obedient. Why the fire seemed to burn hotter after every act of faith. But now, chosen one, heaven reveals the truth. You were not being destroyed, you were being purified. Fire doesn't come to harm gold, it comes to reveal it. What you've endured was the furnace of refinement, the divine process that separates what is temporary from what is eternal. The flames around you were never punishment, they were instruments of transformation. God used pressure to pull purity out of you. You asked Him to make you ready, and He answered by allowing the fire to touch everything that could not go with you. You lost friends, habits, desires, and sometimes even peace. But what was being burned away were attachments that weakened your anointing. What survived the fire is what's destined to carry glory. The furnace is a strange place. It breaks your illusions, exposes false foundations, and tests your love for God. It is in the heat of hardship that motives are revealed. Will you still trust Him when the blessings vanish? Will you still praise Him when the promises delay? You did, and that's why you've come through this fire radiant, not ruined. You've discovered that true faith doesn't demand explanations. It simply clings to God when everything else crumbles. The furnace burned away the need for control and left behind a heart of surrender. You've become dangerous to darkness because you no longer worship for what he gives you, worship for who he is. Chosen one. This refining process wasn't only about cleansing, it was about equipping. The fire taught you endurance. The tears baptized you in wisdom. The pain pressed out compassion. Now, when you speak, your words will carry the power of someone who has walked through flames and found God faithful in every one of them. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Zechariah, chapter 13, verse 9, I will put this third into the fire. I will refine them as silver is refined, and test them as gold is tested. They will call on my name, and I will answer them. That is your testimony. You've been refined, and now heaven recognizes your voice. The waiting wasn't wasted, it was welding. Every trial melted away the unnecessary and welded your heart to divine strength. You don't just know about faith anymore, you embody it. Your scars tell a story of survival, but also of sanctification. You've become a living altar, fire-touched, flame-tested, yet still burning bright. The people who misunderstood your suffering will soon witness the beauty that comes after the fire. They saw you under pressure but did not know the purity being produced within you. The same flames that tried to consume you have become the very light that will guide others out of darkness. Chosen one. You're about to see why it all had to happen. Fire births authority. Suffering deepens compassion. Silence sharpens hearing. You are being prepared for influence. And the kind of influence that transforms lives can only be carried by those who've survived divine refining. Don't resent the fire, thank it. It was never meant to destroy, it was meant to define. You didn't come out empty, you came out equipped. The fire took your fear and left you with faith. It burned away pride and left humility. It stripped away confusion and gave you clarity. Every spark that once scared you was actually heaven's forge, shaping you for purpose. Now, the season of refinement is coming to completion. You'll notice that what once hurt now feels holy. The memories of struggle no longer sting, they sing. They testify of a God who stood with you in the furnace, just as he did with the 3 in Babylon. You were never alone, not for a single moment. The flames may have been fierce, but the presence of God was fiercer still. He was there in the nights of tears, in the days of silence. In every moment you felt unseen. You were surrounded by fire, yet preserved by grace. And that grace has turned your ashes into anointing. So now, chosen one, breathe deeply. The air feels different because the fire has finished its work. You are stepping out of the furnace, radiant and refined, ready to carry what's next without fear of failure. Heaven trusts you because you've been tested. If this word resonates in your spirit, if you can feel that your fire season is breaking, that the smoke is lifting, that beauty is forming from ashes, then let this moment be your confirmation. Type the prophetic number 555 inches, the comments. It's not superstition, it's symbolism. It represents divine change and grace multiplied, a public declaration that your refining is complete and your transformation has begun. Every number typed becomes a testimony that fire can't destroy what God has destined. You're walking out of the flames carrying light for others still inside. You've endured the furnace. And now, heaven says you are ready. There's a reason the weight on your shoulders has felt heavier than most. It's because the calling on your life carries a gravity that few can understand. The more significant your mantle, the more intense your training. You've been entrusted with something sacred, and heaven refuses to let you mishandle it. The delay, the battles, the pruning, all of it was preparing you to carry that weight without breaking. Chosen one. You were not meant for average assignments. Your spirit was never designed to live small. The ache you felt for something more, the restlessness that won't let you settle, is evidence that your destiny is too large for ordinary containers. That's why your journey has been harder, longer, and lonelier. God wasn't punishing you. He was strengthening your spiritual spine to bear the mantle that's been waiting for you. You see, mantles are not lightweight fabrics. They are sacred coverings woven from obedience, suffering, and faith. They are costly garments, stitched together by seasons of surrender. You can't purchase one. You have to become one. Every trial you endured has been a thread in that divine weaving. Every unanswered question, every lonely season, every cry that rose from the dark has become part of your anointing. Some people get blessings, others receive mantles. A blessing benefits you, but a mantle burdens you with purpose. It's what separates those who seek comfort from those who seek calling. And you, chosen one, were always meant to carry calling. That's why you've been pressed harder than others. The oil that flows from your life required crushing. You have been learning, slowly but surely, that destiny carries demands. A mantle is not for decoration, it's for demonstration. It's the authority to move in places where others fear to tread, to speak when others stay silent, to bring healing where others only offer sympathy. You were born to disrupt darkness with light, to confront what others ignore. But to carry such authority, your character had to be forged. The waiting seasoned you, the disappointments deepened you, the trials toughened you. Heaven refused to crown immaturity. So God kept you in the shadows until your spirit could handle glory. It wasn't delay, it was divine conditioning. As the Word of God declares in the second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 17, "For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all." The pain you carried has been producing unseen glory. The heaviness you've endured has been cultivating the strength required to bear what's coming. Chosen one, you've been asking for breakthrough, but heaven has been answering with building. The structure of your destiny needed reinforcement. God refused to let your foundation remain shallow because He knows what's coming will be massive. That's why the tests felt endless. They were building muscle, not misery. Every weight you lifted in faith was shaping your spiritual endurance. You learned to pray under pressure, to praise through tears, to trust in droughts. Now, your faith is not fragile, it's fortified. When the winds of life blow again, you will not crumble, because you've been anchored by experience. You've seen too much of God's faithfulness to doubt Him now. Your mantle isn't just for show, it's for service. It's not meant to make you important, it's meant to make you impactful. You were never called to impress, you were called to influence. And that influence comes not from charisma, but from consecration. Heaven anoints those who have chosen purity over popularity. Do you remember those seasons when you begged God to lift the weight He didn't because the weight was working for you? It was transforming your heart into a vessel that could carry compassion, power, and humility all at once. Without the weight, the oil would leak. But because you've endured the pressure, the oil will now flow freely. The world will see your rising, but they won't know the crushing behind it. They'll see the mantle, not the midnight wrestlings that birthed it. Yet heaven knows. Every unseen act of obedience, every private surrender, every time you said yes through tears, it all mattered. Chosen one. This is what it means to be entrusted. To be chosen means to be challenged. To be anointed means to be refined. You were called not just to shine, but to stand. And because you have stood when everything tried to break you, heaven now knows you can carry what's next. Soon, you'll feel the weight shift, not because it's gone, but because you've grown strong enough to bear it. The same mantle that once felt heavy will now feel holy. What was once burden will become blessing. You'll move with quiet authority, walking in rooms and atmospheres that shift at your presence, not because of who you are, but because of who sent you. You've been prepared for this. Heaven's trust in you has been tested and proven. The mantle rests upon your shoulders now, not to elevate your name, but to glorify His. You've been learning the hardest truth of all, that God's timing cannot be hurried. You planned, calculated, and hoped that by now certain dreams would have unfolded. But heaven's calendar doesn't obey earthly clocks. Divine timing is not measured in minutes or months, it's measured in readiness. While you were counting days, God was cultivating depth. Chosen one. Impatience whispers that God has forgotten you, but wisdom knows He's still forming you. He's not late, He's strategic. The kingdom doesn't operate on human schedules, but on divine synchronization. Heaven waits for perfect alignment of circumstances, of people, of hearts, and of your spirit. That's why the promise tarries, not because God hesitates, but because He's waiting for everything to be positioned for permanence. When you look back, you'll realize that the waiting didn't delay you, it delivered you. It taught you the rhythm of heaven, the beauty of pacing your faith with His purpose. You were learning to trust in the unseen choreography of grace, where even detours were divine. You were learning patience not as passivity, but as power under control. Impatience is the language of fear. It says, if it hasn't happened yet, maybe it never will. But faith speaks differently. It says, if it hasn't happened yet, it must not be time. You are learning the dialect of divine timing. The delay has purified your expectations. You no longer chase moments, you wait for movements. You've shifted from demanding outcomes to discerning seasons. God's timing is an artist's brushstroke. Every delay, every pause, every silence adds shade and shape to the portrait of your destiny. If He released your promise too soon, it would appear incomplete, like a painting without depth. So, He allows time to stretch you, to mature you, to color your life with contrast, so that when the final picture emerges, it reflects His glory and not your impatience. Chosen one. Your growth has been quiet but undeniable. Heaven has been watching you wait without bitterness. You've learned how to hold hope gently, without squeezing it into your own image. You've learned to rest even while restless, to trust even when trembling. This is what it means to walk in divine rhythm, to trust that the music of destiny plays even when you can't hear the melody. As the ancient words recorded in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 11, declare He has made everything beautiful in its time, not before, not after, in its time. The beauty of your life will bloom not by striving, But by surrendering to that sacred schedule, there were moments when you felt left behind. Watching others receive what you've been praying for, you smiled for them. But deep down, your heart asked, "Lord, when will it be my turn?" And heaven whispered, "When it's no longer about turning, but about transforming." God is not only preparing your blessing, He's preparing you for your blessing. What's coming requires the version of you that could only be shaped by waiting. Think of the seed beneath the soil. It waits in darkness, surrounded by pressure and silence. But beneath the surface, unseen changes are occurring. Roots are stretching. Life is forming. Strength is building. When the moment comes, it doesn't strain to rise, it simply responds to the light. That's what your waiting is producing. When the light of timing shines, you will rise naturally, effortlessly, beautifully. The longer the seed stays underground, the stronger its roots grow. That's why God hides you. Deep roots anchor future trees. He's preparing you for seasons that require stability, not speed. The fruit you'll bear later demands that your foundation be unshakable now. That's why time is your ally, not your enemy. Every unanswered prayer is a seed in the soil of divine timing. Every quiet season is heaven's way of stretching your roots deeper into trust. You are learning to measure progress not by movement, but by maturity. It's not about how fast you get there, it's about how deeply you're anchored when you arrive. Soon, you'll see why you had to wait. What's coming will not be fragile. The promise will not fade. The people meant to walk with you will be the right ones, not the rushed ones. The provision will arrive when you're ready to steward it with wisdom, not desperation. And when it all unfolds, you'll realize that nothing was late, it was precisely orchestrated. So rest. Chosen one. Stop trying to accelerate what was never meant to be rushed. The divine clock has not stopped, it's simply striking in a language your heart is learning to hear. You are moving in God's time now, and His timing is never wrong. There are seasons when heaven's silence feels louder than thunder. You prayed and heard nothing. You sought answers but found stillness. You cried out for direction, yet the skies remained unmoved. It's in those moments, chosen one, that faith is truly forged, not in noise, but in the quiet. The silence you've endured was not absence, it was instruction. Heaven doesn't always speak in words. Sometimes the silence is the message. It's heaven saying, "Be still long enough to hear what your heart already knows." You see, God doesn't speak to impress, He speaks to transform. And transformation requires stillness, the kind of quiet that strips away distraction until only truth remains. The silence of God is not punishment, it's presence concealed. When you couldn't feel Him, He was closer than ever, teaching you to walk by faith, not by feelings. The silence trained your spiritual hearing. It forced you to stop listening for a voice and start trusting His nature. That's a higher kind of faith, the kind that believes even when nothing confirms it. Chosen one. God's silence is often His language of trust. He withholds new instructions when He knows you've already been given everything you need to move forward. The quiet was not neglect, it was confidence. Heaven believed you would keep walking even without constant reminders. That's what maturity looks like in the Spirit. Sometimes, silence is heaven's way of revealing what has truly captured your attention. It exposes where your faith rests on God Himself or on His words alone. The stillness purifies your motives. It separates those who seek his hand from those who seek his heart. You were being refined to love him for who he is, not just for what he says. As the voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verse 14, "The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." Stillness isn't passivity, it's confidence anchored in trust. You were learning that while you waited in silence, God was waging war in the unseen. The quiet around you was the sound of heaven working. You didn't realize it, but in your silent seasons, heaven was shaping your inner strength. When you didn't know which way to turn, you learned to lean on peace instead of plans. You learned that faith doesn't always need confirmation, it simply requires consistency. And because you stayed steady in the silence, heaven can now trust you with deeper revelation. Many lose heart in quiet seasons because they mistake silence for separation. But the truth is, silence often comes before elevation. It's the still moment before the curtain rises. The orchestra of destiny must quiet down before the next movement begins. You are standing in that sacred pause, where heaven gathers strength to release the next symphony of your life. Look at how far you've come. You've survived uncertainty, outlasted confusion, and learned to discern the whispers beneath the stillness. You now carry a calm authority that comes only from walking with God in silence. You've discovered that not every divine move makes noise. Some of heaven's greatest works are done quietly, like seeds breaking open underground. Chosen one. Your silent season wasn't empty, it was sacred rehearsal. You were being trained to rest instead of rush. You were learning to pray without panic, to believe without visible signs, to trust without trembling. These lessons will sustain you when you step into noisier stages of destiny. And now, as heaven prepares to speak again, you'll recognize the voice because you've learned to listen beyond sound. You'll sense direction before words are spoken. You'll feel peace as confirmation instead of needing proof. This is the mark of maturity, the ability to move with God even when he whispers. So now, let your spirit breathe. You've survived the silence that terrifies most people. You've stayed when others ran. You've trusted when others gave up. And because you did, the silence is shifting into sound again. Soon, you'll hear clarity breaking through confusion. The same God who seemed silent is about to speak with precision. If this word resonates in your spirit, if you can feel that the silence around you has been holy, not empty, type in the comments, "I still trust." Type it as a declaration, not a plea. Because every time you write, "I still trust," heaven records your faith as a sound offering. It tells darkness that silence cannot steal your hope. It tells heaven that you've matured past needing constant signs. It becomes your anthem, the proof that even when God is quiet, your faith still speaks. And when you can trust him in silence, you are ready to carry his voice in power. There comes a moment when everything suddenly begins to shift, when the air feels charged. The atmosphere thick with unseen movement. You sense it in your spirit before you see it with your eyes. This, chosen one, is the moment of divine reversal. The very thing that once resisted you begins to align. The tide that once pulled you backward now carries you forward. Heaven has whispered to time itself, now is the hour. The delay you endured was not denial, it was a setup for acceleration. Just as an arrow is drawn backward before it launches, your setbacks were tension before release. Every disappointment stretched your faith further. And now that tension becomes the force propelling you into destiny. The deeper the pullback, the farther the launch. You are stepping into a divine pivot, one where everything that felt stuck begins to move, and everything that felt lost begins to return multiplied. Heaven is turning the page of your story, and what once felt like an endless chapter of waiting is suddenly giving way to motion. Chosen one. Divine reversal is not random, it's reward. It's heaven's way of saying, I saw it all, the tears, the faith, the perseverance, and now the scales must balance. The tables are turning in your favor. The same situations that once mocked you will now magnify God's faithfulness through you. As we are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 30, verse 5, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. You have lived through a long night of uncertainty, but dawn is inevitable. The light doesn't argue with darkness, it simply arrives and transforms everything. That's what's happening in your life now. You'll begin to notice small signs. First, unexpected favor, restored peace, doors reopening that once slammed shut. These aren't coincidences, they are confirmations. Heaven is rearranging events in your favor, redeeming what the delay seemed to waste. Where there was scarcity, provision will flow. Where there was confusion, clarity will bloom. This reversal won't just be external, it will begin inside you. The heaviness that weighed on your heart will lift. The anxiety that clouded your mind will fade. You'll wake up one morning and feel lighter without understanding why. That's how divine shifts work. They start in the unseen and ripple outward. And when they do, remember this: every miracle that touches your life carries a message meant to touch others. The grace flowing to you is designed to flow through you. That's why your story matters. When you share it, you help others recognize the fingerprints of God in their own seasons of waiting. That's why, as this message reaches you, I gently invite you, don't keep it hidden. Like a lamp on a hill, let it shine. When you like, share, or subscribe, you're not promoting a page, you're extending a hand to someone still standing in their night, reminding them that morning is coming. You're helping this divine sound travel farther than any one voice could go. And if you feel led, if gratitude rises within you for the light that has met you here, consider adding your own drop to the stream of goodness. Donate not out of pressure, but out of purpose. Think of it as planting a seed in the soil of hope. Each contribution, small or great, becomes a ripple that carries comfort to another soul still in darkness. A single seed can grow into a forest when watered with faith. That's what this movement is, a forest of encouragement. Each message, a tree. Each listener, a branch stretching toward the light. By giving, you're helping more roots take hold, ensuring that voices of hope continue to echo through dry valleys. This isn't about transaction, it's transformation. It's about building a sanctuary where weary hearts can rest and remember that God still writes stories of redemption. You've been blessed not just to receive, but to become a blessing. Your generosity, your sharing, your words, your heart becomes another form of worship. A way of saying, thank you, Lord, for turning my waiting into witnessing. You have walked through the wilderness, and now you are crossing into promise. Heaven is not done with your story. It's only beginning to show you why every delay mattered. The pieces are fitting. The path is clearing. and the breakthrough that once felt impossible is approaching with divine speed. So stand tall, chosen one. The season of reversal is here. The same winds that once opposed you are now carrying you. The same roads that felt endless are leading you home. Heaven has declared your morning, and nothing can stop it from rising. You are entering a time when the things that once caused you pain will begin to reveal their purpose. The story that felt unfair will suddenly make sense. What once humiliated you will become the very testimony that honors you. This is the season of divine vindication. Heaven has been silent, but it was never absent. The delay you endured was not a denial, it was evidence being gathered for your public reward. Chosen one. Those who misjudged you will soon witness the truth. The same mouths that whispered your downfall will have to testify of your rising. This is not revenge, it is righteousness. God's justice is never petty, it is perfect. He does not vindicate to humiliate others, but to validate the purity of your heart. When He lifts you, it's not to prove your worth, it's to prove His faithfulness. Vindication doesn't come in the form of vengeance. It comes as peace that speaks louder than explanation. You will not need to defend yourself, your fruit will. Heaven's way of clearing your name is not through arguments, but through undeniable evidence of blessing. The glory that's coming will silence every false word spoken about you. There were seasons when you felt misunderstood, when people saw your struggle, but not your sincerity. You endured judgment without clarity, accusation without defense. You wanted to explain yourself, but the Spirit told you to stay still. You obeyed. And now that obedience is about to speak for you. God is raising you up in the very place where you were once rejected. This is divine justice, not in the way the world delivers it, but in the way heaven perfects it with grace. God will not simply restore what was lost, He will redeem it with interest. For every season you sowed in tears, you will reap in laughter. For every moment you were overlooked, you will now be recognized in ways that bear eternal weight. As the Apostle reminds us in the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 28, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. You have loved Him through confusion, through rejection, through pain, and now all those fragments are coming together to form beauty. The ashes are giving way to radiance. Vindication is not about proving others wrong, it's about proving that God was right to trust you with trials. He knew you would not retaliate. He knew you would not curse Him in the storm. He knew you would remain faithful when falsely accused. You passed the silent test. And now, heaven is rewarding your restraint. This is why the delay was necessary, so that when vindication came, it would not be rooted in pride, but in purity. You've been emptied of ego. You no longer crave to be seen, you crave to be aligned. That humility has created space for God's justice to operate freely, without your interference. When the reward arrives, it will not feel like revenge. It will feel like relief. Peace will wrap around you in ways words cannot describe. You will no longer feel the need to explain what happened or how deeply you were hurt, because the evidence of divine favor will speak on your behalf. Chosen one. When God vindicates, He does it with precision. He will not just restore what was taken, He will redeem the time lost while you were misunderstood. The years that felt wasted will suddenly yield fruit. The relationships that ended will make sense in hindsight. The betrayal that broke you will become the bridge that built your strength. You will find yourself smiling at things that once made you cry. You will realize that every misunderstanding was a molding moment, shaping you into a vessel capable of compassion. You'll thank God for not letting you get revenge in your pain, because His version of justice carries healing, not harm. And when others come to apologize or acknowledge the truth, you won't meet them with bitterness, you'll meet them with peace. That's the mark of divine vindication, when the one who was wronged can respond with grace. You'll recognize that the silence that once frustrated you was heaven protecting your peace until the right time to reveal the truth. Vindication is not about being proven right. It's about seeing redemption where you once saw ruin. It's about realizing that even the darkest chapters were part of the divine narrative that led to your glory. Heaven is about to turn what once humiliated you into holy testimony. So walk softly now. The storm that tried to stain your name has already served its purpose. The winds that carried away your reputation will soon carry your restoration. Your integrity has been noted in heaven's court, and the verdict has been released, not guilty, but glorified. There comes a sacred turning point in every chosen one's journey, a moment when heaven says, "It is finished." The waiting that once felt endless suddenly begins to break open. You can sense it, deep within the atmosphere shifting, the unseen aligning. It's as if the clock of destiny has just struck completion. The delay that once drained you has now served its purpose. Heaven whispers a single word over your spirit fulfilled. This is not an ending, it's a culmination. Everything that was paused, pending, or postponed is now converging into motion. The old cycles are closing, the tests are being sealed, and the lessons you learned in the valley are becoming the wisdom that will sustain you on the mountain. You are stepping into the season where every hidden seed begins to sprout, where the waiting no longer feels like loss, but like investment returning multiplied. Chosen one. This moment isn't accidental. Completion has always been part of the divine plan. God never intended for you to wander indefinitely. Every season of delay had an appointed finish line, and now you stand at its edge. The work He began in silence, He is now perfecting in sight. The blueprint that once looked confusing now forms a masterpiece of divine precision. You might not realize it, but the weariness you've carried is about to turn into worship. Heaven is declaring over you that what you have endured has been accounted for. The tears you shed have watered the soil of destiny. The prayers you whispered in exhaustion have become the foundation for miracles. The long nights of waiting were not wasted, they were sacred preparation. This is the hour when heaven declares completion. You've reached the threshold where unfinished chapters close and new beginnings awaken. The same fire that refined you now becomes the light that guides you forward. Every unanswered why begins to echo with purpose. Every delay reveals its necessity. You finally see that the waiting was never empty, it was pregnant with divine timing. As Scripture says in the book of Philippians, chapter 1, verse 6, "He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus." That is your promise, sealed and spoken. God does not start something He won't finish, and you are living proof of His persistence. He didn't abandon you mid-journey. He was crafting perfection through patience. Completion, in heaven's language, doesn't just mean done. It means made whole. It means everything that was fragmented now fits together. Everything that was misunderstood now makes sense. And everything that was delayed now arrives with double significance. What once seemed random now feels divine. The threads of your story weave together into a tapestry of grace that could only be written by the hand of God. Chosen one. The number heaven places before you now is not one of waiting, but of fulfillment. It's a prophetic number, a symbol that what was held back is now being released. You've walked through every shadow, survived every silence, and endured every storm. And heaven now says, it is complete. You will feel it first in small ways, peace replacing panic, clarity replacing confusion, strength replacing fatigue. Then, as days unfold, the external will mirror the internal. Doors will open without resistance. Promises will unfold naturally. Relationships meant for you will find their way back. Opportunities you thought were lost will reappear. This time, prepared for permanence. Completion doesn't mean the end of movement, it means movement without striving. You'll no longer have to force outcomes, because grace will flow through every detail. It's like watching a sunrise, you can't rush it. But once it begins, nothing can stop it. Every color, every beam of light appears in perfect order. That's how your next season will unfold, effortless, radiant, inevitable, chosen one. The tests you've faced have refined your vision. You no longer chase things that glitter. You're drawn only to what glows with purpose. You've matured beyond quick blessings. You crave lasting transformation. Heaven has waited for this version of you. The one who understands that completion is not just about receiving, but about becoming. And now that you've become who you were meant to be, heaven can release what was meant for you. This is your confirmation that nothing was delayed beyond its appointed time. Every promise is arriving right on schedule, exactly when your spirit is ready to carry it with humility and grace. If this word strikes a deep chord in your spirit, if you can feel that your season of completion has come, that the waiting is ending and the fulfillment is beginning, then act in faith. Declare your agreement with heaven by typing the prophetic number 888 inches, the comments. 8 is the number of new beginnings, and 888 carries triple alignment, completion, birthing, continuation, endings merging with rebirth. By writing it, you're not invoking luck, you're affirming divine design. You're saying, I am in rhythm with heaven's completion. Every time you declare 888, you're sealing what heaven has already begun. It becomes a signature of faith, a way of saying, I believe the cycle has ended, and I'm ready for what's next. It's a small act, but one that echoes loudly in the spiritual realm, because agreement is the language of manifestation. Chosen one. Breathe this truth deeply. You are no longer waiting, you are walking in fulfillment. The long chapter of delay has reached its final page, and a new story begins, not rushed, but ripe. Heaven is not just restoring what was lost, it's perfecting what remains. You have reached the divine point where patience turns to promise, and waiting turns into witnessing. Heaven calls this moment complete. You are about to witness what happens when God redeems time. Every hour you thought was wasted, every year that felt lost, every season that seemed fruitless, none of it vanished. Heaven has been storing it, preserving it, weaving it into a greater pattern. Now, chosen one, the Redeemer of time, is moving on your behalf. The years that delay appeared to steal are returning, pressed down and running over. For too long you measured life by moments, missed doors that never opened, chances that slipped away, people who walked out. You carried quiet grief for the what could have been. But heaven does not count like earth does. What seems like loss here often becomes multiplication there. The clock that governs this world cannot contain divine restoration. Because God does not rewind time, He redeems it. To redeem time means He extracts value from every second you thought was wasted. He gathers the fragments of disappointment and forges them into wisdom. He converts your pauses into preparation, your pain into power, your detours into destiny. What felt like delay was actually divine investment accumulating interest. Chosen one, you have entered the era of acceleration. What took others decades will happen swiftly for you, not because of luck, but because you have been trained to steward it well. God can move fast now because He knows you will not waste what you've waited for. You have learned that time with God is never time lost, it is time transformed. Look back gently for a moment. The younger version of you mourned every missed opportunity. You believed too much had been stolen. But what you didn't know was that heaven was never pacing itself to your disappointment. Every missed moment became an ingredient in a recipe that only God could perfect. You are not behind schedule. You are precisely on divine timing. Restoration of time doesn't always mean you get back the same things. It means you receive something better that makes you forget the loss. When God restores, He doesn't just return what was taken, He amplifies it. He repays not in equal measure, but in exponential form. He redeems not just time lost, but purpose gained. You will soon see that what felt like years of wandering were actually years of planting. The roots you grew in the dark are now breaking through the surface. The fruit that will appear will mature quickly, because the ground has been waiting, fertile from your tears and perseverance, as was proclaimed in the book of Joel. Chapter 2, verse 25, I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten. These are not poetic words, they are a divine decree. When heaven promises restoration, it means the devoured years will bloom again. Every loss, every delay, every denied dream has a resurrection date. You are stepping into divine recompense. The seasons that appeared empty will now overflow. The relationships that left you barren will be replaced with connections that bear fruit. The places where you once felt trapped will become launching grounds. This is how heaven operates. It turns ashes into altars, ruins into revelations, and wasted years into testimonies. Chosen one, time itself is bowing to your purpose. The rhythm of your life is shifting from waiting to winning, from survival to significance. The Spirit of God is redeeming everything: your mistakes, your missteps, your missed chances, and turning them into stepping stones toward fulfillment. Nothing has been wasted. You may not understand how it happens, but redemption has never needed your logic, only your faith. The divine clock is not circular, it's redemptive. It loops back, not to repeat, but to restore. Every unfinished chapter will now find its closure. Every lesson learned will serve its purpose. There will be divine shortcuts, moments where you experience sudden leaps. Opportunities that should have taken years will arrive quickly. Relationships that once drained you will be replaced by partnerships that accelerate you. What others worked for, you will walk into with grace, because you already paid the price in patience. And through it all, you'll carry quiet awe. You'll realize that the delays you once cursed became the very spaces where wisdom was born. Without them, you would not have had the discernment to handle acceleration. Heaven doesn't just restore time, it redeems perspective. You'll begin to see every painful chapter as sacred preparation. Those who once said, "You're too late," will marvel at how swiftly things align. They will wonder how you advanced so far after standing still for so long. But you will know it wasn't speed. It was sovereignty. You were not lucky. You were led. Chosen one. The restoration of time means you will not end empty-handed. Every promise still stands. The years that seem to dissolve in waiting are now gathering into divine harvest. The Lord wastes nothing, not even the seconds you spent in sorrow. You are walking into a season where everything is being returned in divine order, joy, purpose, confidence, and peace. You will stand one day soon, looking at what God has rebuilt in your life. And you'll whisper, "It was all worth it," because you'll realize that nothing was stolen, it was simply being stored for its rightful time. Time is no longer your enemy. It is now your ally, redeemed by divine hands. The days ahead will not just restore what was lost, they will redeem who you became while you waited. And that, chosen one, is the greatest restoration of all. There is a rising taking place, a quiet, steady emergence of those who have carried the weight of waiting with faith instead of frustration. You, chosen one, are among them. The season of obscurity has done its work. The hidden years have sculpted you into something unshakable. What once felt like silence now echoes with purpose. The heavens are unveiling a new order. The glory carriers are rising. This rise is not loud. It doesn't come with explosions or applause. It comes with reverence, like dawn breaking after the longest night. These carriers of divine light don't chase recognition, they carry revelation. Their power is not in visibility, but in vibrational presence, the kind of light that unsettles darkness without uttering a word. You are one of them. You have been tempered for this hour. Every battle, every loss, every delay was heaven pressing oil from your life. And now that oil carries the fragrance of endurance. It marks you, identifies you, and separates you. You are no longer who you were when the waiting began. There's a new weight to your words, a new authority in your silence. You have walked through the furnace and emerged glowing, not with pride, but with purity. Glory carriers are not self-made, they are God-shaped. Heaven entrusts them with presence, not platforms. The light you now carry is not for show, it's for transformation. It's the kind of light that walks into a room and shifts the spiritual temperature. It doesn't boast, it simply is. That's the result of your refinement. You no longer need to prove your calling because you embody it. There was a time when you questioned why God kept you hidden while others advanced. But now you see, visibility without preparation leads to collapse. You were never meant to compete, you were meant to complete heaven's assignment. And now, as the glory carriers emerge, they will move as one individual flames merging into a wildfire of awakening. The Spirit of the Lord is hovering again, just as in the beginning, searching for vessels who will carry glory without corruption. You are one of those vessels. Heaven has found you faithful in the small things, and now the larger things are being entrusted to your care. As the prophet Habakkuk once wrote in the sacred scroll, chapter 2, verse 14, "For the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord as the waters cover the sea." That is what your life is becoming, a wave of glory spreading across every space it touches. You are not just a believer, you are a bearer, chosen one. Glory cannot dwell where ego reigns. That's why God stripped you of every false identity. You learned to rely on Him when no one else understood you. You learned humility in the place of hiddenness. You learned to serve when you wanted to shine. These lessons became the foundation of your rising. Now, when God elevates you, your feet will stay on holy ground because your heart has been anchored in truth. This rising is not for fame, it's for function. You will bring healing where there's hurt, peace where there's chaos, and truth where there's deception. The world is desperate for light that doesn't flicker, light that comes from those who have been forged in faith. You are that light. You won't need to announce your arrival. Heaven's endorsement will speak louder than your words. Divine opportunities will recognize your frequency. The right doors will open not because you knock harder, but because they've been waiting for your presence. When you enter those spaces, the atmosphere will shift. People will feel peace without understanding why. That's what glory does. It reveals God without you having to explain Him. The rise of the glory carriers is heaven's answer to the world's despair. Where there is confusion, they will bring clarity. Where there is fear, they will radiate courage. Where there is darkness, they will burn with divine steadiness. You are not just being elevated, you are being deployed. Your light will not compete with others, it will collaborate. Glory recognizes glory. When two carriers meet, there will be instant resonance, a knowing beyond words. A unity that transcends culture or distance. It will be as if heaven itself nods in agreement, saying, "Yes, this is my light," reflected in both. Chosen one. You may still feel small compared to the magnitude of your mission, but remember, light doesn't measure itself by the size of the darkness it faces. It simply shines. And darkness, no matter how vast, must retreat. The world has seen enough noise. It now longs for light, steady, authentic, unwavering light. That is what you are becoming. Your rise will not be explosive, it will be inevitable. Because once glory matures inside a soul, it cannot stay hidden. Walk in this new awareness with quiet confidence. You are not stepping into fame, you are stepping into function. You're carrying heaven's presence into places that forgot what hope feels like. You are walking proof that delay was development, not denial. And soon, chosen one, as you move forward, clothed in grace, you'll realize you are no longer waiting for glory. You are the glory moving through time. Just when you think the waiting is over, heaven brings one last test, not to break you, but to prove you. Every chosen one faces this final refining moment before full manifestation. It's the moment where faith must stand without evidence, where your heart must whisper, yes, even when your eyes see nothing. You are standing in that sacred tension now, the final testing of faith. This is the threshold between prophecy and fulfillment, where the temptation to give up is strongest because you are closest to breakthrough. The enemy knows what heaven is about to release, and he would love to see you walk away right before it arrives. But don't move. Chosen one, stand still. You are inches away from the unveiling. Faith at the finish line feels different. It's not the excited hope of beginnings, it's the steady trust of the seasoned believer. You've fought too many battles to panic now. You've learned that silence doesn't mean absence, and delay doesn't mean denial. So now, heaven asks only this: can you still believe when everything looks the same? This is the kind of faith that makes angels stand in awe, the faith that endures without evidence, that clings to promise in the dark. It's the Abraham kind of faith. Standing on a mountain with empty hands yet still declaring, "The Lord will provide." It's the faith that says, "Even if not, I still trust." Chosen one. Your obedience in this moment carries the fragrance of completion. Heaven is watching not to judge, but to record. Every act of belief now becomes seed for the season ahead. You've already proven your endurance. Now you're proving your surrender. You're showing that your faith is not conditional, but covenantal. As Scripture reminds us in the letter to the Hebrews, chapter 10, verse 35, "Do not throw away your confidence, it will be richly rewarded." That's the whisper over your spirit. Now don't throw it away. The reward is near. In these final moments before manifestation, the greatest challenge isn't external, it's internal. The noise of doubt tries to drown the still small voice of faith. The memory of past disappointments claws at your resolve. But this time, something inside you is different. You've learned the rhythm of heaven's pauses. You've learned how to rest even when you can't see results. This calm within you is the sign that maturity has taken root. The last test is never about whether God can, it's about whether you will still believe He will. You've waited through silence. Now you must worship through uncertainty. You've given God your time. Now give Him your trust. When you pass this test, the heavens open in quiet power. You won't need to chase blessings, they'll locate you. The peace you carry will attract what belongs to you. And when it comes, you'll understand that every unanswered prayer was actually being rerouted toward perfect alignment. Chosen one. Faith like this doesn't just move mountains, it moves heaven. It tells the Creator, "Even if you delay, I'll wait here, because I trust the heart that holds the clock." That kind of faith shifts destinies. It turns waiting into worship and pain into prophecy. And as you stand in this final stretch, I want to speak to the part of you that's tired, the part that wonders if you can keep believing. You can, because the God who carried you through deserts will not abandon you at the edge of promise. The same hand that closed doors for protection will open them for purpose. Your story doesn't end in almost, it ends in accomplished. If this message stirs something inside you, if it feels like I've been speaking directly to your heart, it's because heaven orchestrated this moment. These words were meant to meet you right here, right now. So take a breath and let gratitude rise. If this message has reminded you that your faith still matters, that you are not forgotten, then let it live beyond you. When you like, share, or subscribe, you're not just supporting a channel, you're planting light into the feed of someone who's on the edge of giving up. You become the gentle push that helps another chosen one hold on a little longer. And if you feel led to donate, do it not as a transaction, but as a testimony. Picture it like pouring oil into a lamp. Your contribution becomes flame. It lights the path for others still walking in darkness, reminding them that faith still works, that God still moves, that waiting still has worth. Every time you engage, you're not feeding an algorithm, you're feeding a movement. You're saying, let hope keep echoing. You're partnering with heaven's agenda, ensuring that words of life keep flowing into weary hearts. Leave a comment not just as interaction, but as intercession. Speak hope. Write what you've learned in your delay. Someone scrolling might read your words and decide not to quit tonight. Sometimes your story is the sermon someone else needs. Chosen one. This is your final stretch. Don't despise it. The tension you feel now is the sound of something about to be born. Hold your ground. Your faith is not fragile, it's fire-tested. Proven. Ready. The heavens are watching. The angels are aligning. And soon you'll step into what your waiting has built. You are almost there. And when you cross this line, you won't just receive, you'll radiate. You have come to the moment where heaven begins to reveal the full reason for the delay. The questions that lived inside your chest for years, the why, the when, the what was the point are starting to find their answers. Not in explanations, but in revelation. The curtain is being pulled back, and the design you once saw only in fragments now stretches before you in perfect symmetry. The waiting, the pain, the silence, it was all prophecy in disguise. Chosen one. Divine purpose never wastes experience. Every heartbreak, every detour, every disappointment was a thread in the tapestry of your calling. You didn't see it then because purpose rarely introduces itself mid-process. It prefers to remain hidden until the foundation is secure enough to bear its weight. Now that you've been refined, heaven begins to show you the why behind the wait. You'll realize that the years you thought were lost were actually your training grounds. The friendships that ended freed you for divine partnerships. The doors that closed shielded you from counterfeit opportunities. The prayers that seemed unanswered were actually being redirected into something better than you dared to imagine. What looked like stillness was movement in slow motion, subtle, strategic, sacred. As the prophet Isaiah recorded, chapter 55, verse 9, "As the heavens are higher than the earth, so my ways are higher than your ways." You couldn't have understood the plan then because it was operating from a higher dimension. Heaven sees the entire symphony, while we hear only single notes. What sounded like dissonance in your past was actually the harmony of destiny being composed. You were never waiting for God to move. He was waiting for you to mature into the version of yourself that could understand His movement. The delay was the classroom where you learned to see with spiritual eyes, not emotional ones. You were learning to trust the composer, not just the melody. Now, as you look back, you'll start to notice divine fingerprints over everything. The friendships that fell away, the seasons that broke you, the opportunities that dissolved, all were necessary for alignment. If even one detail had been different, your current strength, wisdom, and discernment wouldn't exist. Heaven wastes nothing. Even your mistakes were woven into mercy's plan. Chosen one. Purpose is rarely birthed in ease. It grows best in tension, where faith stretches to its limit. The delay trained your hearing to recognize God's tone amid chaos. It taught you that purpose is not about speed, but about depth. What took longer made you last longer. What cost you dearly increased your capacity to carry compassion. Now, as revelation dawns, you understand that the very moments you resented became your anointing's foundation. The tears you cried baptized the soil of your future. Every unanswered prayer built endurance, and every closed door built discernment. You've been walking through prophecy all along, you just didn't know it yet. This realization will come quietly, like the first sunlight after a storm. It won't rush you, it will unfold gently, illuminating memories that once haunted you. Suddenly, the pain will make sense. The wait will feel purposeful. You will see how God's delays were not detours, but directions. He was never punishing you. He was positioning you. You will find that the people who walked away created the space for those meant to walk with you. The losses that hurt the most cleared room for the blessings that would have overwhelmed you had they arrived too soon. The silence that made you question your faith became the echo chamber where you learned to hear his whisper. When heaven reveals purpose, it does so not in lightning, but in light, a steady illumination that grows brighter as you accept what has been. The past stops being a wound and becomes wisdom. The memories that once carried sorrow now release strength. You realize you were never forsaken, you were being formed. This is what divine perspective does. It redeems your story from the inside out. The places that once represented failure now glow with meaning. You begin to thank God, not just for what He gave, but for what He withheld. You see that mercy doesn't always look like miracles. Sometimes it looks like delay. Chosen one. The revelation of purpose doesn't come to flatter, it comes to free. Once you understand the why, regret loses its power. You stop replaying the past and start rejoicing in the process. You recognize that the wilderness didn't waste you, it prepared you. Every unanswered why has now become a whispered thank you. You are standing in the sacred middle ground between what was and what's next. This is the unveiling, the moment when your story aligns with heaven's script. What once broke you has become the bridge, the delay, the pain, the silence, all of it has been prophecy fulfilled in slow motion. Now, when you look forward, you no longer fear the unknown, because you've seen the wisdom of waiting. You've tasted the sweetness that follows surrender. You've learned that divine purpose may move slowly, but it never moves incorrectly. Every pause, every hold, every heartbreak has carried you precisely here to revelation, to release, to restoration. You have reached the place where all the waiting, all the refining, and all the revelation merge into one holy moment. The long arc of your journey now curves toward fulfillment, and for the first time, you can breathe without wondering if it will all fall apart. The storms have passed. The silence has spoken. The hidden years have produced their fruit. You stand now, crowned in perfect timing, chosen one. What once felt like delay was actually the rhythm of heaven preparing your coronation. The crown you wear is not made of gold or jewels, it is made of endurance. Every sleepless night, every prayer uttered through tears, every moment you refused to quit has been forged into this invisible crown. It carries weight, but it fits perfectly because you were shaped for it. You are not the same as when you began. The person who once questioned whether they could survive is now walking in strength unimaginable. The timid heart has become steadfast. The uncertain voice has found its authority. You no longer chase validation because you understand that destiny doesn't demand applause, it requires alignment. Crowning in divine timing is not about outward triumph, it is about inward fulfillment. It's the moment when your spirit finally rests in harmony with God's pace. You are no longer fighting against time, you are walking with it. The waiting has tuned your steps to heaven's rhythm. Now, every move you make feels guided, every breath purposeful. As was spoken through the psalmist in the sacred writings, chapter 37, verse 4, "Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart." The desires that are now blooming within you are not random, they are reflections of heaven's own design. They are proof that you have become one with the purpose that once felt distant. The crown you wear is quiet. It doesn't glitter, it glows. It's the glow of peace that no circumstance can shake. It's the authority that doesn't shout but shifts the atmosphere simply by being present. People will sense something different about you, though they may not have the words for it. What they are feeling is alignment, your life synchronized with divine order. Chosen one. Divine timing doesn't just fulfill, it transforms. The same roads that once felt heavy now feel holy. The same waiting rooms that once drained you now shimmer with gratitude. You look back and realize that God was never late, and you were never forgotten. Every pause, every pain, every quiet delay was part of a choreography that could only end in glory. The crown doesn't remove the scars, it sanctifies them. Each scar becomes a gem in the band of your testimony, proof that grace can build beauty from brokenness. The same wounds that once wept now shine as reminders of divine faithfulness. The more you look at them, the more you see not what hurt you, but what healed you. You've learned that true kingship in the kingdom doesn't look like control, it looks like surrender. It's not about ruling people, but radiating presence. You were never called to conquer by force, but to reign through faithfulness. That's why your journey required both fire and patience. Heaven needed to ensure your crown would rest on humility, not pride. Now, as you walk forward, you'll find peace replacing the old urgency. You no longer rush to make things happen, you allow them to unfold. You no longer demand answers, you rest in revelation. This is what it means to live in divine timing. You act, but you don't strive. You move, but you don't manipulate. You trust the flow that has carried you this far, knowing it will not fail you now. The ones who once pitied you will one day say, "How did they endure so long and still shine so bright?" And the answer will be simple: you waited well. The delay became your discipline, the silence became your song, and the timing, though mysterious, was always merciful. Chosen one. You are crowned not because you arrived, but because you endured. You wear the evidence of divine craftsmanship. The waiting didn't diminish you, it defined you. And now, your life becomes the testimony heaven has been writing from the very beginning. Step into this moment with reverence. You are not late. You are not early. You are right on time, perfectly aligned, divinely prepared, eternally crowned. Chosen one. If these words have found a home in your heart, if somewhere along this 17-part journey you felt seen, strengthened, or steadied, then let this moment become more than reflection. Let it become connection. What began as a whisper from heaven can grow into a chorus if you help it travel. When you like or share, you aren't just reacting to a post, you're releasing light into someone else's midnight. Somewhere, another soul is scrolling with tear-filled eyes, waiting for confirmation that God still speaks through silence. Your simple action might be the key that unlocks their hope again. If this message met you in the middle of your own waiting season, take a moment to comment below. Write a sentence of truth, a phrase of gratitude, a seed of encouragement. Your words can become water to a stranger's faith. What you've learned in pain could be the very comfort another chosen one is praying for tonight. And if your spirit feels drawn to stay close to this flow of revelation, subscribe. Let this space become a reminder that you are not alone on the narrow road of becoming. Each new message will be another spark, fresh oil to keep your inner lamp burning bright. Every gesture of engagement, every word you offer back, helps build a sanctuary of faith across screens and cities, a living network of those who choose light over fear, timing over haste, destiny over distraction. So before you leave this moment, pause, breathe, then act from the heart. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Let your faith leave fingerprints in the digital dust, so that when others pass through, they will know that hope still lives here. Your journey matters, and now, your voice can carry it farther.